Hi gang, welcome back to Waxing On. It's Wednesday, classic rock, and today we're going to look at a couple of debut albums from bands late 70s, early 80s. And this is one of those cases where the debut album was so strong, it was hard to have a good follow-up. I mean, we saw it first with Don McLean, American Pie. Out of the gate, had one of the greatest albums going and probably one of the greatest songs of all time. How do you follow that up? Well, these bands were not really at that Don McLean American Pie stage, but they were certainly Grammy Award winners. They certainly had some big hits, all kinds of potential, and there just didn't seem to be a follow-up. The first one I'm going to show you is Christopher Cross, self-titled album. Came out in 1979. And again, he was winning awards. He had some great tunes on here. The big hits would be Ride Like the Wind and Sailing. But to give you some idea of the other songs, we had Say You'll Be Mine, I Really Don't Know Anymore, Spinning, Never Be the Same, Poor Shirley, The Light Is On, and Minstrel Gigolo. The only two that really stood out as big hits for me were, again, Sailing and Ride Like the Wind. Now, we had some great musicians on here. Just to give you some idea, we got a lot of session players again coming in. Larry Colton on guitar. We've got Christopher Cross doing guitar and lead vocals. Chuck Finley on trumpet, another great session man coming in there. Jay Graydon on guitar. Jim Horn saxophone. Eric Johnson on guitar. Nicolette Larson background vocals. We've got J.D. Souther doing background vocals. And this was a great album. I mean, this was one of those albums that just sounded right. When they put this together, they made one that would make any stereo system sound perfect. As an example, around this time I was looking to buy a component system. Back in the old days we used to buy component systems, right? Speakers, amplifiers, tuners, everything was separate. And I'm in one of the music stores and he's trying to demonstrate the system to me. What's he put on? Puts on Christopher Cross. Now, I'd already heard the album. I know this thing was perfect. The mix, the way the band was split up, the way it sounded. I mean, this could make anything sound good. And this is what he was using to demonstrate his stereo system. So he was kind of cheating a little bit because, I mean, he had a masterful album to be playing that through. Sure, the system sounded great, but the album sounds great. Now, can't tell you what happened to Christopher Cross. I had the first album. Don't remember what had happened after that. Again, it was kind of a strong opening, hard to follow up. Now another one, and I did enjoy this one a lot. And for those of you that enjoyed the Seekers, I see quite a few people watching that one. I think they appreciate that. More musicians from down under, from Australia. It was Men at Work. Their first album, Business as Usual, early 1980s. And again, I think they got Grammy for Best New Artist and a couple of songs nominated. Now, you got to remember, up until this time, for a lot of us, Australian music, or our knowledge of Australian music, consisted of Timey Kangaroo Down Sport by Rolf Harris playing the wobble board. I mean, that was back before Rolf got himself in a bit of a jam, but I mean, back in the 60s, yeah, he was representing Australia with that act. Seekers came along, and a great band. If you haven't seen the episode on the Seekers, check it out. I mean, they were really developed a style all their own. It was just a great sounding group. And in the 80s, we had Men at Work. Now, they had a couple of big hits. Who Can It Be Now? Down Under introduced us to the idea of the Vegemite sandwich. Underground, People Just Love to Play with Words. Be Good Johnny, Touching the Untouchables, Catch a Star, Down by the Sea. The band at that time consisted of Colin Hay. We've got Ron Streichert, Jerry Spicer, Greg Ham, John Rees, and Russell Depliner, telephone and calculator. Well, there's kind of a specialized musician right there. But a great album. I did buy their second one, Cargo. Didn't really produce the hits that this one did. And again, they were so strong out of the gate, it was maybe just hard to follow that up. They produced, I think, 3 albums before the band broke up, and they did do some touring, some of the members. trying to keep the act alive. They toured with different various groups and under the same name of Men at Work. But certainly an album worth checking out. Both of these are. I mean, they're certainly a good piece of history for the times, what was happening in the late 1970s, what was going on here with early 1980s. It was two excellent albums. Kind of hard to follow up again, like that Don McLean thing with American Pie. When you're so strong at the beginning, it really puts a bar pretty high for that second or third album. But a great listen. It'll bring back lots of memories. Available, again, these streaming networks, hard copy. With the streaming networks, there's no excuse anymore. I mean, there's just so much out there. Back in my day, if I heard something I liked, I'd have to go to the record store and hopefully they had it. If they didn't, I had to order it in and maybe wait a month or two to get it. I mean, right now, and a lot of them you can just, sample off the albums. I mean, it's great. I can tell you this now. 2 minutes later, you go down and you're listening to the album and checking it out. I mean, it's so available. There's no excuse for not taking a look at some of this. And again, a lot of these may be brand new, but hey, why not take a step on the wild side there, man, and take a look at something you haven't heard before, or maybe something that you haven't revisited in a long time, and go back and just kind of give it another chance. So here's two albums, late 70s, early 80s. We've got Christopher Cross, and we have Men at Work. A couple of great albums to help you through the middle of the week and get you down to the weekend. Okay, that's it for tonight, guys. We'll see you on Friday. We're looking at another soundtrack, and this one is another classic. Lots of great performers. Certainly something you might want to check out. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on Friday.